Heroin isn't just for inner cities or rock stars. The Hudson Valley is still being rocked by an epidemic. Heroin use, heroin arrests, and deaths from heroin continue to register at alarming levels. Stopping those trends was a campaign pledge and an inaugural focus of first-year State Senator Terrence Murphy. I sat down with him yesterday for Newsbreakers. Where are we 7 months after you were sworn into office? Have we seen a decrease in usage rates, in deaths from it, in hospitalizations?
Not necessarily. What we've done as the co-chair of the New York State Task Force on Heroin and Opioid Abuse, I've traveled around the northern part of New York State. We've had a task force, form in Rochester, out in Niagara, in Albany, and right here in Yorktown. And what I'm really proud of is that in our one House bill this year, it was common sense isn't so common sometimes. I had found out that school nurses were not allowed to administer Narcan to anybody that might have been having an opioid overdose on school grounds.
And just for point of reference, Narcan is the injection that's given to people who are overdosing on heroin, saves lives?
Correct. Narcan is, the technical term is naloxone. And what happens is it's administered through a nasal spray. It is a completely benign drug which reverses the opioid epidemic. That's the effect that's going on in the body. And within 45 seconds to a minute, the person literally comes back to life.
So your bill has enabled school nurses to be able to administer Narcan?
Absolutely. Not only did we do that, but I'm not a big fan of unfunded mandates. We also funded that over $240,000. We've also funded $450,000 for Narcan kits for people to be Narcan trained. One of my pledges was to have all first responders in New York State Narcan trained due to the epidemic that's going on here.
So that's what happens after somebody is overdosing from heroin. Where are we on the prevention side?
Well, it's all about prevention. I believe that it runs parallel with the mental health hygiene that's going on with regards to prevention, treatment, and I've been around to St. Christopher's, I've been around to a lot of these rehab, and I've realized that New York State has failed miserably, to be quite honest with you.
What's the one thing that you think would help most if resources and votes weren't a problem, resources, money, weren't problems? What's the one change that you would make with New York's policy to try to reverse this epidemic?
Treatment. Allowing the kids the ability, and I say kids because they're young adults, the ability to get into these facilities. 15 days is a joke, an absolute joke. By the time the person goes into, and this all is predicated off of the insurance that they have. So I have all intentions of now finding out that we need to actually go have the insurance company sitting at the table and formulate a plan to allow these people to get into treatment, keep them in treatment, and actually let them matriculate back out.
That seems like it could be a politically sensitive area, trying to get insurance companies to expand their coverage, their payouts in cases like this, or when it comes to folks who are using the public health system.
At this point, it's life or death. I really don't care about the politics of it. The kids are literally dying. In my district, in the 40th Senate District, there's roughly one a week, if not more, of an overdose going on.
And this is hardly a Hudson Valley or even this is an everywhere issue. It's across the country, but everywhere in New York. Are you seeing a receptive approach from other lawmakers in Albany as you're talking about this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People know. I mean, the CDC just came out last week with regards to over the past 10 years that we've had over 300,000 deaths. Not overdoses, deaths. And it's declared an epidemic.
Where are we with policing and what needs to change with policing? Obviously there's two sides to the coin. Yeah. There's the mental health and treatment aspect, and then there's the policing aspect of it as well. We've seen a lot of talk, even from the president this week, about reducing prison time for nonviolent offenders. Where do you fall on which is most important, and what should happen with people who are involved on the criminal side when it comes to heroin?
Well, I'm just pretty much on a 180-degree difference than what the president stands for, because there's got to be a little skin in the game. When we have our county officials, our federal officials, our state officials busting these guys that are delivering the heroin, there's got to be a little skin in the game. When they walk in one door and walk out the back door, waving at the camera saying, "I'll see you tomorrow," I put in a bill this year that any drug dealer that has sold heroin or drugs to a person, and that person has died and they've traced it back, murder is on their hands. Absolutely.
And what's the
Murder.
status of that bill?
Well, that bill is passed the New York State Senate, and I'm waiting for the Assembly to pick it up and pass it over there. We've had our package this year as the chairman of the state task force. We put a package together of 13 bills to make sure that we are trying to create some very strong legislation.
So how should I or anybody else be looking at heroin in New York? Is it a criminal justice issue or is it a health issue?
It is a health issue. It is it's a criminal justice issue with regards to allowing these drug dealers to walk in the front of the police station and walk out, a few hours later. I believe that when we all talk together, meaning the federal government and the state government and the county government, which we have done extremely well in, to be quite honest with you, in the Northern Initiative in Northern Westchester and into Putnam, we've actually gotten everybody to come together, meaning law enforcement, and have done some great stuff so far.
Final question, Senator. What's success in your quest to try to reduce heroin? I mean, the idea of reducing it to zero seems unreasonable.
There'll just be another, there would be another alternative where the kids would go to. As a healthcare professional, this is a life and death situation for some of the kids. I believe that you're going to have some of these issues, but getting kids treatment and getting them clean is my number one priority.
State Senator Terrence Murphy, thanks so much for being back with us, and best of luck in your efforts with combating heroin.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
This very subtle reminder, you can catch Newsbreakers this weekend on FiOS 1 News Hudson Valley. Up next, for the first time in the history of mankind, a spaceship has reached Pluto. Was this just a spectacular photo op, or will we actually learn some secrets of the universe from that historic trip?